Hey guys! Tonight we're going to wander through a crumbling old town with no GPS, no real plan, and definitely no backup. But somehow it still feels like the right kind of trouble. Picture it: slick cobblestones under your shoes, mist curling around shuttered windows, and the faint smell of espresso and rain. You're not entirely sure how you ended up in this forgotten European village, but your phone's dead, the clouds are brooding, and something about this place feels like a page ripped from an antique storybook. You probably won't survive this without developing at least a slightly suspicious attitude toward alley cats. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, where are you listening from? Drop your city and your local time in the comments below. I love knowing where you're all tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge through the fog that blankets the narrow lanes. There's something about the silence here. It's not the modern kind, full of air purifiers and distant hums. This is ancient silence, the kind that makes your thoughts sound loud. You round a corner, past a stone well that looks like it hasn't granted a wish since Napoleon had knees, and then you see it. A ragged bit of parchment pinned beneath a rusted horseshoe on an oak door. You pry it free, carefully because tetanus is real, and unfold what appears to be a hand-drawn map. The ink is smudged, the edges crisp with age, and in the center is a symbol you somehow recognize, though you're certain you've never seen it before. A triangle inside a circle, surrounded by what looks suspiciously like dancing pickles. Or maybe monks. The jury's out. The map isn't labeled in any language you know, though it's suspiciously close to Latin with just a hint of someone messing with Google Translate in 1492. Still, it shows this very town, albeit with fewer pizza places and more graveyards. A red line curves from where you're standing into a part of the town that doesn't show up on modern tourist guides, probably because it hasn't had plumbing since the Crusades. Your curiosity flares up, and you do that thing humans always do in stories like this. You follow the map, instead of, say, going to the nearest police station and saying, "Hey, why is this old scroll summoning me?" So, you walk. As you venture deeper into the alleyways, you pass a tavern that smells like firewood, garlic, and poor decisions. There's a historical marker on the wall, and because you're the type who reads those things, you pause. Apparently, this used to be a gathering place for revolutionary thinkers. Historians still argue whether they were philosophical radicals or just really bad at paying their tabs. Either way, they vanished one winter, leaving nothing but scorched mugs and rumors. You keep moving, gripping the map tightly. Your steps echo now, louder, sharper. Something's changed. The air feels like it's watching you. Or maybe that's just your brain playing tricks. You tell yourself it's fine, totally fine. You're not walking into a cursed part of town. You're just sightseeing aggressively. Then you turn another corner and nearly trip over a cat. It's sleek, black, and entirely unimpressed by your presence. You mutter an apology, but the cat stares at you like it knows your browser history. Then it does something that derails your brain completely. It speaks. "You're late," it says, voice gravelly, tinged with boredom. "I thought you'd be taller." You freeze, obviously. Either you've snapped, or this is the beginning of a children's book that gets really dark halfway through. You blink. The cat sighs. "Well, are you going to ask, or are we just standing here playing dumb?" You manage. "Ask what?" It stretches lazily. The usual. Who I am, what the map means, where to go next, blah blah. "Honestly, I liked the last chosen one better. He brought tuna." Wait, chosen one? That's the bit that gets you, not the talking? Okay, fair point. You hold out the map, hands slightly shaky. "What is this?" The cat stares at it, then at you. "A headache, and your first clue." Just as you're about to demand a clearer explanation, maybe involving fewer riddles and more bullet points, the cat bolts, flicking its tail like an invitation. Against better judgment and all known safety procedures, you follow it down a tunnel of ivy-covered stone. Behind you, the wind picks up, scattering leaves and whispers. Somewhere, a distant bell tolls. Not from a modern church, but one of those old-school towers that always seem to be missing one important stair. Welcome to the first step. You duck under a crooked archway, chasing after the sassiest feline guide you never asked for. The alley narrows until it feels more like a vein pulsing through the town than a street. Your shoulders almost brush mossy walls on either side. Above, the sky is just a sliver, dull gray with the threat of rain, and below, your boots splash through puddles shaped like faces that seem to smirk as you pass. Totally normal. Definitely not haunted. The cat stops abruptly near an iron drain grate and sits, perfectly still, tail wrapped around its paws. "We're here," it announces, as if you were both on a guided bus tour. You look around. There's nothing here but a cracked stone wall and a broken-down newsstand from the 1930s, still stocked with yellowing headlines. One paper reads, "Time Traveler Vanishes Again, dated 1922. You scoff quietly, fringe folklore at its finest. "That's it," you say? "You dragged me into this dark corner to read expired tabloids?" The cat yawns. "Patience, and look closer." You bend toward the wall. The stone's texture shifts beneath your fingers, rough, turning smooth, then slightly warm. A glyph glows faintly under your touch, same as the one on the map, triangle inside a circle. With a low, grinding sound that raises the hairs on your neck, a segment of the wall opens inward like a secret wardrobe door. The cat pads through casually. You hesitate, because obviously secret tunnels led by sarcastic cats are generally frowned upon by all travel safety advisors. But then again, you're already waist-deep and weird. You follow. The tunnel is low and damp, lit only by flickering gas lamps that seem too dim to be real. The air smells like old books, wet stone, and lavender. Or maybe that's just some ghost's choice of aftershave. At the end of the tunnel is a spiral staircase, each step carved with strange symbols. You ascend, winding upward through layers of dust and echo. At the top is a thick wooden door painted dark green with a brass knob shaped like a lion's head. You knock, once. The door creaks open on its own, naturally. Inside is a library. But not just any library. This one is circular, with balconies upon balconies of bookshelves stacked to the ceiling. A domed skylight above reveals a full moon that wasn't there a minute ago. In the center of the room, at a too-small desk, sits a man, or perhaps a mannequin, dressed in a velvet smoking jacket with silver spectacles perched on a long nose. He's reading. He doesn't blink, like not even once. "Welcome," he says without looking up. His voice is low, like velvet brushed against stone. The map chose you. You clear your throat. "What is this place?" "The index," he replies. "Every event, every idea, every what if, cataloged here. History as it was, and as it could have been." You step closer, brushing past shelves labeled things like failed utopias, laughable royal scandals, and secret recipes that changed empires. One shelf just says, "Don't." Tempting. "Historians still argue whether this place existed," the librarian murmurs, finally raising his eyes. "They call it a myth, a metaphor. But reality," he taps the desk, "has more footnotes than people like to admit." You glance around. "So, what am I supposed to do?" He gestures. "Find your question. The right one will glow." You blink. "What if I don't know my question?" He shrugs. "Then you'll wander, like most of us." You move slowly through the rows. One book hums as you pass. Another growls. You reach out instinctively toward a crimson volume titled "When the Moon Hid Twice." The moment your fingers touch the spine, it pulses with heat. The librarian raises one eyebrow. Curious choice. Most people go for the obvious. What if Rome had Wi-Fi, or Napoleon and the jetpack conspiracy? You open the book. The pages shift like water, rearranging themselves until a single image remains. A cathedral with no doors, only windows, shuttered. The map in your pocket vibrates. Suddenly, the lights dim and a rumble echoes through the floor. Books start to shuffle on their own. The librarian stands, finally blinking. You've activated a junction. That means the cat was right about you. Wait, you say, heart pounding. What does that mean? It means, he says, already walking toward a lever in the wall, your story just forked. Good luck. He pulls the lever. The floor beneath you gives way. You fall, gracefully, you hope, into blackness. And somewhere above, the cat purrs. You land with a soft thump. Not on stone, not on wood, but on something that smells faintly of cinnamon and mothballs. You blink in the dim light. Velvet cushions, everywhere. You're in what appears to be a sunken lounge, lit by lanterns shaped like upside-down teacups. A harpsichord version of a Taylor Swift song drifts from nowhere and everywhere at once. Yeah, you're definitely not in Kansas, or Florence, or 2025. A door swings open. In walks a woman wearing a long coat made entirely of library cards. She has unnaturally long fingers, wire-rimmed glasses, and a demeanor that screams, "I know your middle name and all your overdue fines." She doesn't blink either. You're sensing a pattern. "This way," she says, not even asking who you are. You follow, because at this point, why not? The hallway curves left, right, then doubles back like an Escher painting having a bad day. You pass portraits whose eyes follow you. Not subtly, like a haunted house gag, but openly. One winks. You wink back. Politeness matters, even in cursed architecture. You're led into a circular reading room. At its center, reclining on a red chaise lounge like it owns the place, and probably does, is the cat. "You again," you mutter. "Miss me," it purrs. They always come back when it gets confusing. The librarian with too many fingers clears her throat. He's here for the next clue. "Fine," the cat yawns. "I'll allow it." She points to a low cabinet covered in symbols, none of which look remotely like letters. She twists one of the symbols, and with a click, the cabinet opens to reveal a paper cone hat, a small brass key, and a scroll sealed with blue wax. You take the scroll. It's labeled, "For the train." Underneath, in smaller print, "Seat 47, window side. Don't eat the cake." You blink. What train? The cat flicks its tail. Follow the smell of coal smoke and regrets, which, weirdly, you can now detect wafting in from the corridor. The librarian hands you the key and gives a rare smile, the kind that's 50% warning. The train doesn't wait. You're escorted through another passageway that ends in a rusty elevator. It rattles as it descends, probably through space, time, or both. Then, with a final lurch, the doors open. Not to a station, but to an alley you've never seen before, full of steam and the low hum of an engine idling. There it is, the train. It's long, dark green with gold trim, puffing quietly at the platform, like a beast too tired to roar. The sign hanging above says, "Next stop," unclear. Beside it, an old woman hawks boiled chestnuts from a cart. You nod at her. She doesn't blink. On the train, you find seat 47, window side, as promised. You sink into the worn red cushion. The train lurches forward with a hiss, and just like that, you're off. No ticket check, no conductor, just your reflection in the window, looking equal parts confused and fascinated. Across from you sits a man in a bowler hat, reading a newspaper from 1889. He doesn't speak, he doesn't blink either, obviously. Eventually, he folds the paper, looks up, and says, "Do you believe in echoes?" You raise an eyebrow. Like sound bouncing back? He nods. Or choices. Echoing, coming back, in different forms, wearing different clothes. Before you can reply, the lights flicker. The world outside the window shifts. One moment it's a meadow, then a battlefield, then a classroom full of children drawing maps that look oddly familiar. Your map, over and over. Historians still argue whether fate is linear or just a very stylish loop. The train slows. A soft chime plays. 4 notes. The bowler hat man vanishes, leaving behind only a chess piece. A knight. You stuff it in your pocket. The train door opens to a platform in the middle of nowhere. A forest sways gently in the wind, though there is no wind. You step out. Waiting under a lamppost is a girl in a yellow raincoat. She's holding a red balloon. She's maybe 10 years old, though her eyes look older than yours. You took your time, she says. You look around. Do I know you? Not yet, she replies. But we've done this before. She reaches out and takes your hand. And together, you step off the platform and into the trees. The forest isn't just quiet. It's the kind of quiet that seems curated, designed. Every twig snap underfoot echoes just a little too long, and every leaf rustle feels like it's holding its breath. You walk beside the girl in the yellow raincoat, hand in hers, while she hums a tune that sounds suspiciously like a lullaby you can't quite place. It's comforting and deeply unsettling all at once. Where are we going? You ask, even though you're no longer convinced questions matter here. She doesn't answer, just tilts her head and smiles in that cryptic kid who knows too much way. You pass trees with carvings, hearts, names, once even what looks like a QR code. You stop at one, fingers brushing a name. It's yours. You've been here, she says softly. No, you protest, I haven't. She shrugs. Maybe not this version of you. You keep walking. Eventually, you come to a clearing with a single lamppost in the center, glowing even though it's daylight. Beneath it is a wooden signpost pointing in 5 directions, each arrow labeled with a phrase like, not yet, almost, oops, try again, and definitely don't. Naturally, she points to, definitely don't. Of course, you sigh, lead the way. She grins and pulls you down a path that seems to fold in on itself. Trees arch overhead like a cathedral. You pass a pond with lily pads shaped like hourglasses, and a squirrel that looks like it's wearing a tiny pirate hat. You don't question it. At this point, it might be rude. Eventually, you come upon a cottage. It's crooked in that fairy tale way, walls slightly tilted, chimney shaped like a question mark. A wooden sign over the door reads, "The Underground Cafe of Whisperers." You hesitate. What kind of cafe is this? The girl lets go of your hand. The kind where everyone knows your name. You enter. Inside, it's candlelit, smoky. Every table has someone seated, but no one is talking aloud. They're whispering, barely moving their lips. You pass a couple in early 1900s formal wear murmuring to one another over teacups. A man in astronaut gear stirs a glass of green liquid while whispering into a napkin. A woman with 4 watches on one wrist makes eye contact with you and mouths, "Be careful." You sit. A menu appears in front of you. No waiter, no cat, thankfully. The menu reads, truth, hot, memory, cold, regret, sweetened, hope, unfiltered, cake, don't. You hear the girl's voice behind you. Don't order the cake. You go with hope, because why not? A steaming cup appears instantly. No fanfare. It smells like old bookstores and fresh laundry. You sip, and your entire chest warms like someone just lit a candle behind your ribs. For a moment, you remember something beautiful you didn't even realize you'd forgotten. A bike ride at dusk, a voice saying your name like it mattered. Someone at the next table leans in, a woman with silver hair and eyes like broken mirrors. She whispers, "The bell tower holds what you lost." You turn. What bell tower? She only smiles. Across the cafe, a door opens, revealing a staircase winding up, up, up. You glance at your cup, now empty. The menu disappears. A soft chime plays. Same 4 notes from the train. A clue, or just the world's weirdest musical branding? You climb the staircase. Candle sconces line the walls, but their flames flicker blue. With every step, the air gets heavier, like you're walking into someone else's memory. At the top, the bell tower. It's hollowed out, wooden beams crisscrossing the ceiling, and wind pushing through slats in the wall like a whispering choir. At the center hangs a massive cracked bell. Beneath it, an old phonograph spinning silently. You crouch down. A voice crackles from the horn. A lullaby, the same one the girl was humming. It slows, then rewinds, plays again. Historians still argue whether lullabies evolved purely to soothe or to encode memory, warnings, even spells. But in that moment, it doesn't matter, because something behind your eyes shifts. You remember the tower. A version of you was here before. A voice whispers in your ear, though no one's there. Not everything lost needs to be found. You stand, dazed. In the tower's corner sits a small wooden box. You open it. Inside, a single key. Different from the train key. This one is carved from bone, cold to the touch, engraved with the same triangle circle symbol. A new memory unlocks. Your hands burying this box. But whose hands were they? You step out onto the tower's ledge. Below, the forest. You descend the tower slowly, each creaking step like a heartbeat. When you reach the bottom, the door you entered through has vanished. Of course it has. Instead, the room opens into a tunnel lit by glowing mushrooms, soft green, pulsing gently like sleepy fireflies that studied interior design. You walk. The tunnel gets narrower, curving upward, until, quite suddenly, you're no longer underground. You're in the middle of a rainy street, slick cobblestones, flickering lanterns, and a horse-drawn carriage parked inexplicably next to a vending machine. Raindrops cling to your eyelashes, warm and slow, like the storm is too tired to be scary. And then, through the mist, you see it. A stall with a striped canvas roof and a hand-painted sign that reads, "The Market of Half-Truths." Each booth is wildly different. One sells jars of bottled laughter, another, perfectly symmetrical feathers. A vendor in a wide-brimmed hat is hawking memories. Buy two, get one erased for free. A sign reads, "No refunds on futures." Cute. A woman with bright pink gloves waves you over. "First time?" she asks. You nod. "You want answers," she says. "Everyone does. But here, you pay with what you think is true. That's the cost. Isn't that dangerous? Only if you're certain about anything," she winks, which, statistically, you're not. You browse the stalls. One catches your eye. A crooked little stand with a brass sign that says, "Keys to Things You've Forgotten." It's manned by a scarecrow-looking guy with mismatched eyes and a grin like he just found out your most embarrassing secret. He gestures wordlessly to a glass case. Inside, 3 keys, one silver, one wooden, and one that glows faintly blue. You hold up the bone key from the bell tower. The scarecrow nods, then slowly taps the glass next to the glowing one. You reach for it, but he holds up a hand. Something in return. What? He points at your pocket. You instinctively pull out the knight chess piece. He snatches it gently, places it on a board behind him already mid-game, and immediately checkmates someone invisible. "Fair trade," he says, handing over the key. You turn to leave, but another stall catches your eye. "The Future in 60 Seconds." The vendor is a child. He has no face, only a mirror where his features should be. In his hand, a stopwatch. "Do you want to see it?" he asks, his voice like the echo of someone else's childhood. "See what?" "Your timeline. 1 minute, then it fades." You hesitate. Historians still argue whether knowing your future helps avoid it or walk straight into it. Most agree it's probably both. You nod. He presses the watch into your palm. The world freezes. Suddenly, you're somewhere else entirely, standing in a house that might be yours, holding a book with no words. A woman calls your name. her voice familiar, loving. A child's laughter echoes from another room. You smile, tears stinging your eyes. Joy, grief, something in between. Then it's gone. Back to the market. Stopwatch gone, mirror boy gone. Only rain, heavier now, coating everything in shimmering uncertainty. You clutch the glowing key tighter. Then you hear it. Music, faint, melancholic. A bridge looms ahead, arching over a slow, dark river. As you approach, you realize the bridge itself is humming, a low, resonant tune that grows clearer with each step. The humming matches your heartbeat. No, wait, it matches your name. You place a hand on the rail. It vibrates gently beneath you. The bridge is carved with ancient runes, some familiar, some alien. One looks suspiciously like a pizza slice, but that might just be your brain crying out for carbs. Midway across the bridge, time seems to slow. The rain falls upward. A voice sings softly from nowhere. You are the echo, not the stone. You pause, glance over the edge. The river is reflecting not you, but a younger version, laughing, spinning in circles under sunshine, completely unaware of everything to come. You take a deep breath and keep walking. At the end of the bridge, there's a door, freestanding, no frame, no walls, just a door, painted red, handle shaped like an infinity symbol. You step through the red door and immediately forget how walking works. There's no ground, just a slow drift, like swimming through honey under a velvet sky. Stars blink lazily around you, and somewhere off in the distance, a planet hums the melody from the bridge. You're floating, not falling, not rising, just existing in a space between everything. Then, your feet touch something solid. You look down. Floor. Wood planks, worn and warm, lit by candlelight. You're in a room. But not a room, the room. You don't know how you know, but you do. Every cell in your body feels like it remembers this place. It's small, cozy. Dust motes hang in the air like tiny ghosts. There's a fireplace, crackling gently, even though you don't feel cold. Shelves line the walls, filled with objects that feel hauntingly personal. A compass missing its needle, a photograph of you with people you don't recognize, a single ballet slipper, and a worn paperback titled, "You Were Almost Here." You spot a mirror. You approach slowly. But instead of your reflection, it shows moments, your moments, except some aren't yours, at least not in this version of your life. You see yourself climbing a mountain you've never visited, laughing with someone you've never met, writing a letter you never sent. You blink, and the mirror returns your reflection. Just you, slightly confused, deeply tired, possibly overdue for a snack. Behind you, a soft voice. You remember, don't you? You turn. No one there. You scan the room and notice something new. A door with your name carved into it. The carving looks like it's been there forever, like this door has always been waiting. You hesitate. The key from the market, the glowing one, is suddenly in your hand. You didn't take it out. You insert it into the lock. It clicks. You enter. It's another room, but not warm this time. Sterile, almost clinical. White walls, buzzing lights. In the center, a large glass panel. Behind it, a museum display. And in that display, you. Or rather, versions of you. In one, you're a scientist, beaming beside a chalkboard full of equations. In another, you're standing on a stage, mid-speech, audience captivated. One version sits peacefully beneath a tree, sketching. Another, running through a rainstorm, laughing like it's a punchline only you get. Each version seems vaguely familiar, echoes of lives not chosen. A soft voice chimes through hidden speakers. Welcome to the Museum of Lives Not Lived. You spin, startled. no one. Just a red velvet rope separating you from the display. A holographic guide materializes beside you. Neutral face, pleasant voice, that uncanny tone all virtual assistants seem to share. These are timelines you might have lived, it explains. Paths not taken, doors not opened. You approach one panel, staring at yourself as a deep-sea explorer. You look brave, cold, determined. "Can I go there?" you whisper. The hologram shakes its head. No, but you can remember why you didn't. Another panel flickers to life. You're older, sitting at a cafe, hand in someone else's. Happy, safe. You swallow hard. "Why show me this?" you ask. "To remind you," the voice says, "that even not choosing is a choice." You notice a gap between the displays, a blank panel, your name above it. What's that one? It hasn't happened yet. You take a step back. Breathe. Historians still argue whether parallel lives are just theoretical curiosities or the soul's way of filing drafts. Some say each forked road continues, with or without you. Others say you're always in the only version that matters, the one you wake up in. You look around the room. Quiet now. Still. The museum lights dim. You exit the exhibit and find yourself in a corridor lined with clocks, all ticking at slightly different tempos. One runs backward. One chimes every time you blink. One has no hands, only a reflection of your heartbeat. At the end of the corridor is a small wooden bench. Sitting on it, a very old man with a mechanical eye and fingers stained with oil. Tools scatter around his feet. He looks up and smiles. "I've been expecting you." You nod. "Let me guess, you're the clockmaker." He chuckles. "No, I'm your clockmaker." He holds up a small object, a pocket watch, broken in half, gears exposed. "This is your time," he says. "Some of it you waste." The ticking gets louder. Tick. You're standing on the bridge again. The rain falls in reverse, droplets leaping off the ground back into the clouds. Your hand isn't even wet. Tick. You're back in the market of half-truths. The child with the mirror face is still there, stopwatch unpressed. He nods knowingly. The scarecrow vendor resets the chessboard. The knight you traded now rests in your pocket again. Tick. You descend the bell tower. The box with the bone key is unopened. You haven't heard the lullaby yet. Tick. The train hasn't arrived. The platform is empty. The girl in the yellow raincoat hasn't taken your hand. Tick. You're holding the map again, still crisp and ancient, standing outside the crumbling tavern where revolutionaries once gathered and probably bickered about whether soup counts as a beverage. Tick. Time stutters, holds. This is your moment. You grip the broken watch tighter. The clockmaker's words echo in your mind. You've got enough left to do one impossible thing. And so you ask the one question that matters. What did I forget to choose? Reality shifts. You're in a room, not just any room, the room again, but this time it's alive with motion. Clocks spin and stop, doors open and slam, pages flip on their own across books on invisible shelves. In the center stands a pedestal. On it, a third key. Unlike the others, this one is clear, made of glass, light pulsing inside it like a heartbeat. A small plaque beneath it reads, "Use only if you're ready to know why you came." You take the key. Immediately, the floor disappears. You're falling, not fast, but steadily, like being lowered into memory. Voices whisper around you. Some you recognize. Others speak in languages you never learned, but somehow understand. You land gently in a familiar place. Your childhood bedroom. But it's off. The colors are richer, the toys more detailed. On the bed sits your younger self, maybe 6 or 7 years old, humming the same lullaby from the phonograph. You watch silently. You hadn't remembered this moment, but it feels important. A knock on the door. The child, you, calls, "Come in," but no one does. Instead, a voice whispers, "This is where it began." The child gets up, walks to the wall, and pushes aside a poster. Behind it, your first map, crayon drawn, a childish scrawl, "To the secret room." The child smiles and whispers, "One day I'll find it." Your breath catches. You forgot this entirely. That little map wasn't just a game. It was a promise, a seed planted in the soil of your imagination. That one day you'd find the secret room, you'd solve the puzzle, you'd become the version of yourself who remembers how to wonder. Historians still argue whether imagination is the origin of truth or its final shelter. But here, now, the distinction doesn't matter. Because that forgotten crayon map, it's the reason you're here. Everything, every turn, every cat, every train, every echo, it all traces back to a moment when you believed anything was possible. Then life got louder. You grew up. The map got buried. Until now. You step forward, gently press the clear key into your own hand, the hand of the child you were. The moment flashes, the memory locks into place, and the room dissolves. You wake up on the forest floor, beneath golden trees that shimmer like wind-blown stardust. The girl in the yellow raincoat stands over you. "Welcome back," she says. You sit up. "Was it real?" She shrugs. "Real enough to change you. In your pocket, the map is warm. New markings have appeared, inked trails branching from the original line, leading into unfamiliar territory." The girl points to one of them. "This way." You stand, brush off your knees, and follow her into the trees. The world doesn't look the same anymore. Or maybe you're finally seeing it as it always was.